coming up in this industry, you do experience barbers that have egos, and one of the things that I've experienced was barbers within the shop who are dominant with their clientele. Not necessarily, I came up during a time where social media wasn't as big, so my experience with barbers with egos wasn't necessarily something as simple as, as comparable to what people experience now with stuff on social media. I experienced it just with dealing with barbers within the shop, with the idea of, in Philadelphia, the goal is to be the sharpest barber around. So the egos were, yeah, I'm sharper than him, or I'm sharper than him. And that was particularly the mindset. But I learned a lot from my experiences down south, because the northern states, we became callous to being around people all the time. You can see the same person every day and necessarily wouldn't speak to them just because you become callous to relationships. But my experiences with dealing with, not just barbers down south, but just with people that from the southern states, they greeted me with what we call southern hospitality. And they taught me the idea of networking, where in northern states, we called it being Joe. In southern states, they actually called it networking. And I was taught that your network can affect and determine your net worth. So therefore, I learned quickly that the idea of being Joe, quote unquote, that was frowned upon in Philadelphia and all the northern states, was the very thing in a different form what can cause me to become a better version of who I am. So those things that those barbers confronted me with, the idea of them being better than me, I would tell you about this one particular barbershop. It's funny because I have a great relationship with the guys that I'm about to mention now. But growing up in Philadelphia, there was two shops that were known to be the prominent barbershops at that time when I was coming up. One was called the Philadelphia Hair Company, and the other one was called a barbershop called Big Heads. And ironically, we're talking about barbers with egos. But these guys individually, once I got a chance to know them, ended up being really great guys. But as a younger barber looking up to these guys, one of the things I seen and heard of was their mindset of them being better than every other barber that was in the city. And it didn't help other barbers grow. Their mindset was, we're the best and everybody should come to us and pay us the most money because we are the best. Hence the idea of big heads. They would even take pictures of and have graphically enhanced images of they're having small bodies but with big heads because of that being a mentality. Before I started working with the Andis, I came to these individuals, asked them to watch the video that I was submitting to Andis to see if I was potentially going to be an educator for them. And this was in 2004, around 2005. And they had this mindset of, Kenny's lying, he's not going to work with Andis, and this is something he just made up in his mind, and this is not something that's going to be a reality for him. Lo and behold, years later, they started to respect me because they started to see those things actually happening. But it took for success in other states for them to start to respect me instead of having a mutual respect from the very beginning. So those experiences with barbers with egos per se was one of the things that motivated me to want to respond with additional success. Like I said from the beginning, these are some great guys that once I got a chance to really know them, they really aren't individuals that have high egos. They're just individuals who came across to have high egos, and that sandpaper relationship that we had from the beginning refined me to help me become a better person today. A lot of individuals in Philadelphia have the mentality that they are great already. And whenever you're in a position of feeling as though you are great, it limits your opportunity to grow. But when I actually ascribed and assimilated to the Southern hospitality model early on in my barbering career, I was able to easily define many different mentors to help stretch my repertoire and cause me to continue to grow beyond the skill set that was developed just in Philadelphia. And the limitations that I seen while I was growing that they had was they became great at one thing. Philadelphia is known for short, textured, African-American haircuts. In other states, they call us the king of the brush cuts and king of the beards and king of the outlining. But when it comes to all other aspects of haircutting, they don't respect Philadelphia as being great at those very things. But it just so happens that I, as a barber from Philadelphia, now go across the country teaching Southern barbers how to fade better. When I was coming up, Southern barbering was known for their fades, but not known for the outlines. So now things are changing because social media is shrinking the world. I grew as well as many other people that I know have grown, and the barbers that have had egos weren't able to grow as rapid or at the same pace because of them limiting themselves, because they had their mindset of, I've attained, I've arrived, I don't need no additional help. I'm cool, I got clientele, that's all that I need at this moment. But now when they see barbering growing so rapidly, they're not fit for all the different opportunities that have evolved and opened up for barbers that have kept themselves open to be stretched for additional opportunities. My key to success is not that I've created anything. My key to success is identifying what my deficiencies have been, figuring out what mentors can help me overcome those particular issues that I've had growing up, and being honest about how people can actually help me grow so I can be a better version of who I am. So the advice will be identify what your deficiencies are, figure out who can help you become a better version of yourself, and implement those things to the point where you become unrecognizable to yourself because you've come such a long way. Case in point, I started out my barbering career as an individual who only cut hair with attachment combs, with guards. But now I've become a world-renowned barber for doing clip over comb. And I'm from the East Coast, and I'm out here on the West Coast, and I just did a presentation on how to do a haircut without using guards and without using clippers, where the emphasis was for me to focus on doing shear over comb, when that's not how I started my barbering career. I can't say I created it, I can't say I started it, but what I can say is because of me figuring out what areas in my life that I was weak, and figuring out who can help me overcome those things, it helped me become who I am today as one of the well-respected individuals. And it's not because I have a big head. It all starts with me saying, you know what, I'm not that great. In 2016, I made a commitment to myself, and I'm gonna make a promise to you guys that are watching this. I've been known to be one of the better educators out here, and that's fine and dandy. It's been great. But in 2016, I guarantee you, Kenny Duncan will be known for additional skill sets outside of just being an educator. Because as an entrepreneur, there's additional skill sets that you develop and learn along the way. And as I'm still modeling myself after individuals that are much bigger than me, and now seeing corporations that have evolved to be so much bigger than what I am in a state right now, I guarantee that you will see a better, more refined version of Kenny Duncan, as well as the Kenny Duncan brand and the association I have with the different companies that I'm associated with. So you'll see definitely more from Kenny Duncan beyond just being an educator in 2016. I guarantee and promise you that one.